This is the EWN Podcast Network.
Welcome to Tech in the Right Direction, the podcast. Let's take tech in the right direction to drive social change and close the employment, pay, and culture gap for women in technology. This podcast is focused on helping turn ideas into action to create opportunities for women to advance in the dynamic technology industry. I hope this podcast will inspire and motivate you to encourage more women and girls to seek or grow a career as a woman in technology. Stories about the journey of amazing women in this tech field starts right now. Welcome to Tech in the Right Direction. This week, I will be speaking with Madinah Ali. Madinah is the president and co-founder of SafePC Cloud. The company primarily focuses on data backup and recovery for midsize, enterprise, and government IT environments with an emphasis on cybersecurity. Ms. Ali formerly served as the Women in Technology Chair and board member for the International Association of Microsoft Channel Partners, Atlanta chapter, and currently serves as the Atlanta lead for the WIT Network. Ms. Ali received her Master's of Applied Economics degree from Cornell University. She is currently completing her Microsoft Certified Trainer designation as part of the Microsoft Learning Partner Program, which is comprised of the premier technical and instructional experts in the Microsoft technologies. Welcome to the show, Madinah. I'm so excited to have you here.
Yes, I am very excited to be on your show, definitely, because it's creating opportunities for women in technology. So this is something I'm definitely passionate about. So thank you again.
Sure. So Madinah, you're a successful entrepreneur. Can you share with us how you got started and then what that journey looked like and how you got to where you are today?
Oh, well, first of all, I think people should know that I guess what you're considered to be a third generation entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather was a trial attorney and had a successful law practice. Both my parents were in real estate and construction. So even though I began my career in corporate, I never really felt like I was going to fit in because I think as an entrepreneur, you have to be bold and you have to make a lot of sacrifices.
Mm-hmm.
And, at times you just can't have the things that, some of your other girlfriends have because for me, I feel like I'm constantly reinvesting in the business.
Mm-hmm.
And SafePC Cloud is my second go around at business. The first company I had, we were focused more on providing call center support, 24/7 call center and staffing call centers. And in that industry, I realized that the margins were very, very thin. And I said, I think I'm going to need to get out and get out of this particular business and refocus because we started a service desk contract. We started supporting a client where we were getting all types of calls. And some of the calls we were getting were Microsoft related calls. And that's when I started really thinking about, maybe we need to, as they say, pivot, which is a common word people are using right now in the midst of COVID. It's about, how do you pivot? How do you change? And my advice to any entrepreneur is that, it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight, but I think I've remained flexible But once I understood how margins worked in the business,
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning, I was so excited about getting the contract and showing them what we can do. But then I said, let me take a step back and really look at the profitability of the contract.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, we get so excited to get the business. But my advice to anyone is always think about the bottom line. How can you be profitable and hire slow, take your time in the hiring process. Continue to train and invest in people. Train and invest in yourself. Continuously evolve. Technology is always changing
Mm-hmm.
in this industry, so you have to evolve. I remember years ago when I was starting data backup and recovery, and one of our first partners, Carbonite, which is still a strong partner of ours. And I remember when some MSPs were talking about, oh, Carbonite is so focused on the consumer. But over the years, Carbonite evolved. They acquired other companies.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're called Open Text. And they bought enterprise companies. They bought companies that had niches in SMBs and mid market, and they really have developed their products and their solutions, and they've developed their staff over the years. And so I said, well, I'm going to enter, into this partnership because at the time, I liked the education and the training that they were providing, but I never said, okay, well, they're not going to be a major player, so I'm not going to take them seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And so by just partnering with certain technology companies has helped us grow. But I always look at their long-term strategy, how they feel about training, how they feel about investing in other people, and meaning their employees,
Mm-hmm.
and as well as their partners, because as you know, Microsoft does a lot of training of their partners. Microsoft's distribution partners, who we work closely with, Cinex, this past Monday, well, every Monday, they really have a very deep dive of Microsoft 365 and really going into, Azure security, Azure data backup. So, my advice to anyone going into technology, understand your business model, make sure it's profitable, but also make sure you align very strongly with certain technology players in the industry, because those partnerships can help you grow.
That is
So,
such great advice. Great, great advice. I think,
mhm,
sometimes entrepreneurship looks pretty shiny on the outside,
mhm,
but people don't realize that it takes time. You have to make sacrifices, like you said. You have to reinvest in the
mhm.
business so you come later, you don't come first.
Exactly,
Uh,
exactly,
and I think
exactly.
your comment about margins is so critical for anybody going to be an entrepreneur or going into business, because you can have lots and lots of sales, and if you don't have margins and you don't have cash flow, you don't
Mm,
have a business. And
I agree.
new
I agree.
entrepreneurs are have to learn that sometimes the hard way. So you've built a very successful business based on really a great foundation.
Mhm.
So your expertise lies in data backup and recovery, which is so important to businesses today. Can you share with our listeners more about what your company does to help organizations?
Well, we kind of got into the data backup and recovery about gosh, it's been 5 years now. And it was
Mhm.
because of those ransomware attacks
Mm.
when our clients were facing the threat, and we had to really overnight figure out how to recover this data.
Mm.
And that really piqued my interest. And you'll be amazed how still so many small businesses, even medium sized businesses, and even when you go to some of these larger enterprises, every device is not being backed up.
Mhm.
You'll be amazed. Now that we face with COVID, now that we face with this remote workforce, there's a newfound interest
Mhm.
in data backup and recovery, and so that continues to grow as a business because as we continue to work on our clients' devices or networks, we always emphasize, how is your data being backed up?
Mhm.
We talk about the importance of data backup and also the fact that there's been such an increase in the cyber attacks because so many people are working from home. So many people want to know what is really going on with this pandemic. And if you hit the wrong site, it can really take over your whole device. It can really
Right.
expose your network. And so the first step is always to make sure you have your files backed up and that you have your files secured and you have some of the best uh, antivirus protection. I'm not talking about the free protection. I'm talking about making an investment and paying for those services.
Mhm.
And it's been a good business to be in. We continue to grow in that business. One
Mhm.
of the areas that's growing right now is the email phishing,
Mhm.
training people not to open the email when it
Mhm.
looks suspicious because it does create such a vulnerability. And we're in the process of producing a white paper on that. And then we joined the Cybersecurity Tech Accord late last year, where we have had to assess the vulnerabilities of our systems and our practices and our networks, and we publish that now. And we
Mhm.
want to make sure that our clients report that because if there's something that's going on, we want to know. And so that is becoming, I think, our greatest threat because right now, so many people on the internet, so many people are utilizing Zoom. I'm sure you've heard of all these Zoom parties, and
Mhm.
now Zoom has bought a data encryption company to help improve their security,
Mhm.
which is a smart move because I don't think Zoom, it wasn't designed to, handle what Zoom is handling. But the good thing is at least the leadership is being forthcoming and saying, hey, we're going to have to really invest in our data security, our data encryption, our data recovery. So we're not, so we don't continue to continuously be hacked as well. So, that's really our focus is making sure that our clients are protected and that their data is backed up, and then in any event, we're able to recover that solution as well.
That's great. Such a great service that you offer for your customers because you don't want to find out you don't have a backup when you need it. It's so
Mm-hmm.
important to have it before then. And years ago, I've been in this business for a long time, and years ago, I would ask every one of my customers that I trained, "Do you have a backup?" And they would look at me like I was crazy. And
Like, what are you
even
talking
today,
about?
right. And even today, all those pictures that are in the cloud, are you backing them up? Because when you lose them, you're not going to be happy.
I know. I know.
So, and when we go into backup and recovery, that's critical. But this cybersecurity is a whole new world now. There's this whole place called the dark web, and when we think about and read about the biggest breaches that happen, they're from end user mistakes, right? They're just
Yeah.
little things. It's credentials, it's sharing your credentials, or like you
Hmm.
said, clicking on phishing emails. So,
Exactly.
having you be able to talk to your clients and get them to be more savvy on what to do and what not to do is so critical.
Hmm. Hmm. And I think that as you say, the dark web, I think that is the new, form of burglary. It
Hmm.
it was
Hmm.
it was going into a bank. Now it's how can we lock down a client's system and demand money?
Hmm.
And that's become the emergence of ransomware, the emergence of now we have the cryptocurrency,
Hmm.
which you can't necessarily track. So, now they're forcing companies to pay via Bitcoin.
Hmm.
And then also the downtime, and
Right.
trying to recover that data. I mean, it cost the city of Atlanta just a year ago over $12 million.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a big thing. One of the projects that we're working on is for a startup, we're developing a tool where we're able to really analyze a company. This is targeted more to enterprise companies to really see how well compliant they are
Hmm.
when it comes to data privacy, data backup, data recovery, and the reason why we decided to take on this project is again, this is me stepping out of my comfort zone
Hmm.
and really challenging and developing something on the Azure marketplace where it can solve real problems around cybersecurity. So the companies will, fill out this assessment, and then we map it to the the NIST, the National
Hmm.
Institutes of Science and Technology framework, to
Hmm.
see if it's following those policies in terms of IT security framework and data backup policies. And then we're tying in GDPR, which is the standard in Europe, and then also now the California Data Privacy Act. So it's a real exciting project because I think a lot of organizations are going to be surprised how that they're not as secure as they want to be.
Hmm.
And traditionally we've talked about business continuity, disaster recovery, but because of COVID, now the enterprise resiliency plan is so critical. So basically, as an enterprise, how quickly am I able to get back up
Yep.
in the face of a crisis? So if that crisis is a pandemic, if it's a terrorist attack, if it's something that, an employee error, the
Hmm.
question is how soon am I able to recover all of our IT assets and just our assets in general and be able to begin to operate as a business. And I think as a result of what has happened, I think a lot of companies realized that they just were not as prepared. And one of the things you were telling me about training, you'd be surprised how many organizations who are training organizations that prepare uh, these students for internships, apprenticeships, were not prepared to train virtually.
Hmm.
We're not ready for Microsoft Teams,
Hmm.
found it a little bit complicated. Said, well, we went to Zoom because it was easier. We know it's not secure. We know it's issues. It's not the best. But we really did not have a strategy for online virtual training. And then the other challenge I'm seeing is, well, we don't even have the courses online, or we don't even know how to begin to get our content online. And not really, we're not really prepared, particularly that and I'm talking about the training companies that are non-IT. That are in, construction or environmental policy and regulation. I'm even hearing from some of the CPA accounting organizations where they're just not as prepared, particularly professional organizations that have to get CEU continuing education credits. So, which I feel in 2020 is still very interesting. That they're just not prepared.
And it's not just the IT, the non-IT training companies. We're seeing it with IT training companies. We were lucky enough that we were a virtual training company for probably 6 years now. So we were ahead of the curve doing that. And our customers loved it because they could take it from wherever they were, their home, their office. They didn't have to travel, and companies loved it because it saved them on budget. But now it's become like a whole new thing because now we have to do it. So very true. It's so interesting to hear the pain points that you're hearing from your customers. Now, the cloud makes that a little bit simpler, right? Because there is backup in the cloud and it's more secure. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, of course, we have been utilizing the Teams platform because we know it's backed up. We know that it's secured. We've been using the SharePoint platform because, of course, it's in the cloud. We can share our documents. We can share our lesson plans, our courses. Give our students a user account with their username, password, very secure. They can go online, do all their courses online. But we're really pushing Microsoft Teams to deliver that virtual training. And the reason is because we like the channel feature where, each of the students can have their own channel. We can put the documents out there on the chat form, and everybody will have access. We like the integration with the OneDrive and the SharePoint and all of that. It's the fact that the whole Office 360, or as they call Microsoft 365 platform, is in the cloud. It just makes the overall process a lot more user friendly. And again, I'm amazed at how ahead of the curve we were too, because in my mind, in my reality, I'm thinking, I'm still getting questions. Medina, what is the cloud? I want to see the cloud. And I start laughing because I'm like, well, when you put your pictures on your iPhone,
where do you think they are?
Where they are? They're in iCloud. And you're okay with that, and you're secure with that, but we're just talking about putting your documents, backing it up in Azure, backing it up in Carbonite. What is so hard about that? What is so difficult? What is so unique? What is so intriguing, about that type of thing?
They just never have thought about it,
Yes, exactly. They never thought about it. A lot of people are still want to download everything on their desktop, and I'm saying no, let's leverage the cloud because it gives you more memory, it frees up your CPU, your system runs a lot more efficiently. You don't need to have all this stuff.
You can access it from wherever you are.
Exactly. Yes. Why don't you just archive the documents? So just those simple things And I think that's why I'm enjoying the education and training piece,
Mm-hmm.
because you just be amazed. There's just so much for people to still learn. You know,
Right. Right.
it just amazes me, because I'm like, this is simple, but then to some people, like you said, they've just never thought of it
Never
in that
thought of
way before. Yeah,
it.
exactly. I think you're right on. Yeah, definitely.
So,
Mhm.
in addition to your business, which is you're very active in your business and are doing some amazing things, you're also very active and passionate about bringing more women into technology. Can you share some of the organizations that you work with and are engaged with?
Yeah, for Atlanta, I am the lead for the WIT Network,
Mm-hmm.
which is the women that represent the Microsoft channel
Mm-hmm.
globally and nationally. And we came away from the IMACP, the International Association of Microsoft Channel Partners, which nationally I serve on the Diversity and Inclusion Committee
Nice.
for IMACP, and still a member there of the Atlanta chapter. Um, so so those two areas, definitely getting more women in technology, but also retaining the women in
Mm-hmm.
technology.
Mm-hmm.
That's been my biggest concern, is the retention issue. And I mentor a lot of young women who don't feel confident in technology. They don't feel like they're good enough, even though they're just as smart and just as bright. And I mean, Jennifer, a lot of these women have masters in
Mm-hmm.
engineering degrees, and they're getting their certifications right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then also through my partnership with Little Wonka Group, another woman-owned business, I'm helping her launch the Women Tech Training Initiative,
Very nice.
which we were very excited to have you as an ambassador.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned you, of course, at the webinar. You know, some women can't imagine that there's been an entrepreneur out there for 30 years, a woman entrepreneur running a successful training company, and then I tell them about you, and they're like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, but people don't see it, and they don't hear
Mm-hmm.
about it, and they think that, and truly, this is still a very male dominated industry. But I think one of the things that Kathy Light of Little Wonka Group, we were saying, if we do not start doing something, then we in other words, we're not we have to become a part of the solution.
That's right.
Because if we don't become a part of the solution and change the narrative, then we're going to keep getting the same results.
And the
And
numbers are declining. They're going down instead of
it,
going up.
the numbers are declining. One of the things we're about to launch for the WIT Network Atlanta is the virtual mentoring circle. I wanted to do something for the young girls, the girls that are graduating from college in computer science. The local WIT chapter leads for the colleges here, Georgia State, UGA, Kennesaw State, just some of the universities here in Georgia, where on May 29th, we are going to get them assigned mentors
Mm,
for their careers in IT.
nice.
And then we're going to launch a series with Microsoft Southeast with the HR and recruiting teams on updating your LinkedIn profile, how to interview with Microsoft, what is Microsoft looking from a recruitment and retention perspective, what are some of the hot IT jobs. So those are some of the things that I said, gosh, we got to do something, because right now we're hoping that everyone, I definitely feel school will be back in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel school will be back in a virtual manner.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely don't think we're ever getting away from the remote workforce, or working from home, or doing things on a virtual level.
Mm-hmm.
But how can we partner them with other mentors and help them on that career journey?
To guide
So
them, right? Yeah.
to guide them, yes, to guide them, to just, and then also another thing too, like tomorrow, the young lady that I'm mentoring, she told me the other day, Medina, sometimes I just want a sounding board
Mm-hmm.
based upon my ideas and what I'm going through. And we're doing this in conjunction with Sarah Haggard of Tribute,
Mm-hmm.
who developed the mentoring app. So my philosophy is to support other women-owned businesses,
Mm-hmm.
support women who are in corporate. How do we keep developing and nurturing them from a career perspective? And then how can we focus on the young women, or one of the programs we have through Women Tech Training, young women on the rise? How do we continue to nurture the young women, help the women that are in those corporate or career or academic environments in technology, and then of course to partner, collaborate, and support other women entrepreneurs, because it's very important when you're developing an application that Sarah is developing, that you get feedback
Mm-hmm.
and you make sure her application is very, very successful.
That's
So,
great.
so those are my philosophies. Those are my passions, because it's important that we all make a difference.
Thank you for all the great work you're doing. And we're definitely going to see those numbers change with all of the passion, energy that you and many, many other women, including myself, are putting into this area so that we can really grow more women in technology. And you have to start with girls, right? Because that's when you can influence them the most.
Exactly, 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 and also instill confidence.
Hmm.
I'm seeing an issue of just not having the confidence, and so that's something that I want to address, is making sure they feel secure in who they are, because one of our current developers, she was on a project recently and the guy questioned everything she did, and I asked her recently, I said, well, what's wrong? And she says, I just really doubt my ability, because he kept questioning everything that I did.
Mm.
So that's a way women get discouraged in the
Right,
field,
right.
is that when people start questioning their work, and they're working longer hours, and they're doing as much overtime and not getting paid, and they're trying to prove their worth, and she successfully developed the product and they're getting it implemented, but she's definitely, she told me the other day, I'm feeling a bit insecure, because
Mm.
he just kept questioning everything that I did. And I know in my heart, I know more than him.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
our job is definitely to lift each other up, provide that confidence so that we can go out there and say, yes, we can do it, and we can do it just as good as anybody else in the industry.
exactly, exactly, exactly. And I commend you recently for doing that Azure certification for the WIT
Thank you.
Network. That
Thank
is phenomenal. That is phenomenal,
It's
because
really an exciting program, and
yes,
I hope that's the start of many, many more women getting certified in technology. Now, you're a woman in tech and have been for a while. Can you share some challenges that you faced and some of the ways that you've overcome them?
um, oh gosh, so many.
Hmm.
um, I've had situations where, because I was a woman and clients had never dealt with a woman supporting their technology, they decided that they didn't want me, or they didn't want our service,
Hmm.
even if a guy was doing that particular service, because a lot of our technicians are men. The majority
Hmm.
are men.
Hmm.
And so you face that,
Hmm.
all the time, that some people just can't get over the fact, oh my gosh, this is the company that's doing our data backup. This is the company that's doing our IT services. And did you know? And I remember one of my technicians telling me, he said, I was over there in the server and we got everything back up and we're backing up the data. But I went past the conference room and they just talked about for about 30, 45 minutes that they didn't even know we were a woman-owned company. They couldn't believe it. They were like, "Did you know Safety?" I never knew. I thought she was just one of the staff, but she's the owner, and and so the technician, referred me affectionately as boss lady. And he just couldn't believe that they would spend 30 to 40 minutes, talking in the conference room about, and he said, gosh, this is what, 2018? And
so sad.
yeah,
So sad
so
that
just,
we are
yeah,
still
I mean,
there.
we're still there. And he just, and, he goes, and, he says, Medina, just wasn't a bunch of men. It was some women that made the comment too. And then I said, well, look at the organization. And when he looked at the organization, he said all the women were in support roles. All the men were in leadership and executive roles. And he said the women were doing the bulk of the work. And I said, yeah, that's a lot of, that's kind of where we are. So, I have to overcome those challenges.
Sure.
I'm sure at times people were like, oh, can we trust this African American woman? I'm sure that has happened. I don't really listen a lot to anything negative, so it's hard for me to really, say, oh, this happened because of that, because I don't really know, because I always want to stay on the positive side of things and always look at the best of everyone. So, but I know that as a woman and what we have developed and what we have come across, I definitely feel like I'm gonna have to work just a little bit harder. Right now, we're working on our Microsoft Silver partner status, and found out some of our colleagues have been given some leads, and I haven't been given any leads. I've had to, every client we've signed up, we've had to work for that client relationship, and I'm transferring current Office 365 clients over to our CSP platform because they want better support. And
yeah, we have to prove ourselves always. It just we have to have that extra mile. Yep.
We have to always prove ourselves. And so when I put in my projections with the cloud enablement desk, they're happy, they're excited, and I'm mapping out probably within a year, maybe less than two, we'll reach Microsoft Gold partner status. So, but I'm telling you, I know that some of these other colleagues of mine have definitely had a lot easier road in just getting the lead, getting the opportunity, to say, oh, okay. And, I know I have to work a bit harder, and I'm okay with that because, Jennifer, I feel I'm opening up the door for the next woman. I feel like it's not going to be, I feel like over the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to be a little bit easier for women. I mean, even if it takes 20 years, I just feel like I'm paving the way. And, we're making so much impact right now, I think, with the WIT Network, that I just feel really good about everything that we're doing, that I just stay motivated. I'm just excited. And I'll send you a link. One of my consultants was featured recently in a cybersecurity article about how she's changing the gender norm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very
And
nice.
so, when I see that article, and I just get excited. Like, gosh, no one, they never thought of us being in cybersecurity, but we are in cybersecurity now. And so
I think your strength, your confidence, has really taken you to new heights. I love your positivity because that's how we are going to grow. That's how we're going to get to our goals,
Mm,
not by negative thinking, right?
mm-mm.
So
Yeah, yeah,
you've overcome a lot of challenges in
yeah.
in a lot of ways, but you've, exemplified confidence, and strength in what you're doing, and you're such a great example to other women, so we know that we will make a difference.
Hmm.
So in closing, what advice do you have for our listeners or women that might be looking to go into technology? What are your thoughts?
Well, I definitely want them to know that in technology, all of this is not very technical. I
Hmm.
think a lot of times they feel they have to be the engineer, they have to be the specialist on AI, machine learning, or architect design. There's a lot of opportunity for non-technical roles. There's a lot of opportunity in business development, account executive management, project management. One of my colleagues, she's one of the IBM Global Transformation Program Manager, and she just says, "I'm so non-technical now." Even though even though she got a math, science degree, Spelman, Georgia Tech dual degree,
Hmm.
and then ended up getting her master's at Clark in mathematical science of all
Wow.
things. She's saying, "Hey, I'm so far away from that." And we were
Hmm.
talking about that the other day because I'm the one who majored in business and economics, and I know more technical stuff than her because she hired our company to help her with all of her devices and her systems and all that. And she says, "Gosh, you know more than me now." And our advice, and our advice is that this area is growing so fast and so I mean, we even hire people who just do customer care and can talk to people, because some of our technicians are so technical, they don't have the best communication skills.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
even if you have a good customer service and you like people, you would do good in technology,
Yeah.
because you still need the people to explain what the technology is about
Right.
and what is going on. So I'm encouraging everyone to find some type of role and niche, because this is the area of growth. We have, we're not facing this recession slash economic crisis because
Hmm.
we're well positioned to handle the remote workforce.
Hmm.
We but again, we need all kinds of people. So do not let the emerging technologies like the blockchain, like robotics, like all that to really discourage you. That would be my advice. It's
That's
just
great
to
advice.
mm,
Great advice. You don't have to be technical to be in the technology field. There's so many other roles, and you can learn the technology from a high level and still create an amazing career in technology. So I think that is great advice. Thank you so much, Medina. It was such a pleasure to have you on my
thank
show, and I loved
thank
every minute of our conversation.
thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate you for having me. This was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening, and please take a minute to subscribe to this podcast so that you never miss an episode. See you next week.
As your organization continues to embrace and adopt new technologies, does your team have the skills required to make the most of your investments? Directions Training offers IT professional and end-user training for the most popular solutions today, including Microsoft 365, Azure, AWS, Cisco, Citrix, VMware, and much more. Our flexible delivery methods and full customized offerings make sure that you get the training you need just the way you need it, in person, virtual, on demand, or through a blended approach. Success is a journey, ask for directions. Visit us at www.directionstraining.com for more information today. Thanks for listening to Technology in the Right Direction, your source for the latest technology trends shaping the world. To download this week's show or listen to past shows, visit directionstraining.com/podcast. Past shows are also available at ewnpodcastnetwork.com, as well as through iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher. To find out how to be a guest on the show, visit directionstraining.com/podcast. Until next time, we hope that technology takes your business in the right direction.
Thanks for listening. This is the EWN podcast.